Okay, so this video is going to be a rundown on how to do a long exposure. If you're not into photography, this is going to help you out because a lot of people don't understand the basic concepts when it comes to photography and taking a long exposure photo and getting everything so bright with a longer shutter speed. So what we're going to do is go through the settings and we'll basically go through, make sure everything's set correctly and where we want it, and then after that we'll put it up in the air and take some long exposures. The first thing you need to do is get your Phantom, put it outside. Right now I have my Phantom outside my house right now. It's just chilling on my doorstep, and this enables me to mess around and take photos at night without, the camera's not in the air. I can fine tune this on the ground. It's basically like setting up a camera on the ground, doing all your, it's like I'm shooting without it being in the air, so it's easier for me to go through all the settings. I can make adjustments without using all my battery life, and not only that, it's a lot easier to take a photo on the ground than in the air because we don't have to worry about you know anything moving. So we can perfect our exposure on the ground, and then once we feel good enough, we'll put it up in the air and we'll take some photos. So the first thing we're going to do is go through the settings, and let's look exactly what we got here. First off, image format. I suggest you shoot in RAW. If you're going to be editing, I'm going to be editing all my photos in post with Lightroom and or Photoshop, depending on if I have any issues with the photo. I can go into Photoshop and fix it, but Lightroom is good enough. And with RAW, you have all the data. You can fine tune it a lot easier, and we can get a much better end result. So we'll do RAW on that. White balance. I would recommend a custom white balance, but since we're going to be in the air, you're going to have some street lights are going to be a very low cool temperature, like almost a blue, and other ones are going to be almost like a yellow. So since we have different lights all around, I'm just going to keep it in auto, and when we go into Lightroom, or when I go into Lightroom, you can edit with whatever you want, but I recommend Lightroom. When I go into Lightroom, I can adjust, since we're shooting in RAW, I can adjust the white balance. Style, we're just going to keep it standard. I don't really need to change anything on that because I'm going to be editing in post. Let's go back. Color. I'm just going to keep it on none right now because I'm going to be doing all my editing in post. Now, when I do shoot with my SLR, I usually keep it on vivid just because I want the colors to pop. You can shoot it in vivid if you want. Me personally, I'm going to keep, I'm going to let, the camera give me a raw result, and then I'll edit it in post and get exactly what I want. Now, since we're not doing video, I don't need anti-flicker. Overexposure warning, don't need. Histogram, don't need. Some people think they need that. You can have it if you want, if you understand how to read one. I personally, I mean, I've been around histograms back in school, but I personally don't even, I don't care for them. Me personally, I'm not going to use it. Not that experienced. So next, quick review. This is going to show the result for, you take a picture, it's going to show for 1 second. You take it, it's going to show for 2 seconds right after you take the photo. I just keep it on 2 seconds. You can keep it on longer if you want to review your photo later. Video format doesn't matter. NTS PAL, not shooting video. Settings, format SD. Okay, so let's format the SD first. You don't have to, but I personally do it just because I want a fresh card when I go up and shoot, and then offloading is a lot easier. I don't have my stuff from before. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to put it in a photo mode, and you're going to open up this little thing right here, and it's basically going to give us our ISO, our shutter, and basically it's going to give you all your settings. The most important settings we're going to need here is going to be our shutter speed. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this all the way. We need to go into seconds. And what's cool about this is it automatically starts getting brighter. It's trying to show you a preview of what's going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I don't really know the noise performance on this camera. I'm just pretty sure from the video shots it's pretty good. So You can bump it up to 16 if you want. I'll keep it at 800 and just pop off a shot just to see how it looks right now. So what I'm gonna do is put it at 2 seconds. This is just gonna be a test right now to see what's gonna happen. Let's see, and that's gonna show our preview right after this. Boom. Cool. Good. That was a really good shot, actually. Let me go back to playback. That was pretty cool. It looks good. It looks like a clean image. Can't zoom in on this. But, yeah, it looks pretty good. And what's nice about that is it looks really clean. Now, the red you're seeing, that's from the actual... on the Phantom, you have lights that are going on. You know, you have your red lights on the front, and you have your green on the back. They're flashing. So that the long exposure picked up. Now, when it's in the air and there's nothing on the floor to reflect off of, you shouldn't get that at all. So let's see. Now let's talk about the shutter speed. So 2 seconds in the air. Remember, you're flying. So 2 seconds, you're gonna get a lot of motion blur in 2 seconds, depending on your weather conditions. I recommend if you're gonna do long exposure, make sure it's a calm night. If it's windy, forget about it, because the drone's gonna be, it's gonna try to stay in the same position with GPS. And yes, it is stable, but when you're opening up that image sensor for 2 seconds of light, you need to be as still as possible. So we're gonna try to keep the shutter speed. I'll try it at 2 seconds. I've seen some people do it at 6 seconds. I'll show you the result at 6 seconds, just so you can see how much light it's going to bring in. So as you count 3, 4, 5, 6, boom, there it is. So it almost looks like daylight. That's what a long exposure is. You're leaving the sensor open for so long, you're bringing in all the light that it actually looks like it's daylight, and that's why long exposures look so awesome. And in photography, that's what got me hooked to photography at first, was you go in the middle of the night and boom, you shoot an image with moonlight, and all of a sudden it's daytime in the image, but you're in complete darkness. That's why I love long exposures. And now, since you can do them on here in the air, it brings a whole new aspect to photography. Now that you're able to get a camera 400 feet in the air and shoot, it's honestly amazing. When fireworks are happening, you shoot long exposures, you'll get amazing results. You'll see the light trail of the whole firework, of when it shot off to when it exploded, and the firework will actually add fill light to the whole landscape around it. So you'll have I shot some photos during 4th of July, and all the houses under the firework were completely red, because that's what the color of the firework was, and it was just an awesome photo. So I think 6 seconds is way too long. It's going to be way too blurry. The lines on the streets, I don't think they're going to be defined, because we're in the air. This looks pretty good. Now remember, this is basically a tripod setup. My Phantom right now is outside my door, sitting on the floor, and it's just like if you were to have a SLR camera, this is how you would do it. You would set it up on a tripod, set it for 6 seconds, set your ISO 800, 1600, boom, shoot it. That's our 6 second result. That's our 2 second result. So you see the difference in the amount of light that we're bringing in. Now if I increase the ISO, what's going to happen is the image is going to get really noisy, because the computer is generating it's amplifying the light to try to bring out everything that that is already there. We don't want the ISO too high. If you put it into Lightroom or something like that, you might get lucky and you can get a usable image. But I try to shoot lower, and then I'll go from there. And as you see on this image, we're even getting some of the stars up here. The longer you go, you can actually get some galaxy shots. Now, this isn't going to be with the actual Phantom. The only reason I'm picking this up is because it's sitting on the ground. But once you're in the air and you're shooting, you have to be at a very high altitude. You have to be almost on a mountain, so you don't get a lot of light pollution from a city to get these shots. But this is only picking it up because it's sitting on the ground. If I'm in the air, you're going to see like a little line. It'll be a blurry line. Same thing with an airplane. If an airplane's flying and you get a second exposure, you'll see a little line with like little red dots. That's because the airplane has red dots. It's blinking and you're picking it up. It's almost like you're capturing time in the photo, which is why long exposures are amazing. Another thing, the Earth is rotating at night. So if you do a really long exposure, I'm just telling you this information, just basically about long exposures. You're not going to pull it up on this, but the Earth's rotating. If there's stars, you're going to start getting star lines. That's if you do have an SLR, I suggest you play with long exposures. It's one of the best things. There's our first, and then that's our live view right now. So you see the difference on how awesome it looks. This is why long exposures are so fun, because you get that result from that. So I'm gonna, personally, I only want to be at like 2 seconds in the air, 2-second exposure. I don't really want to be shooting anything more than that. I'm gonna bump it up to 1600 at 2 seconds. Let's see what we get. There's our car. Maybe I'll get him going into the garage. You see all this light from here? That's from him. And I don't know what he's doing. Picking someone up. Let's see what this is. Alright, another exposure. Okay, so this is actually pretty cool that they're in the image. So as you see, we go back and you have like, you got the car with the lights. Now if we're in the air and we're shooting directly down, you'll see that whole thing right there. So let's go back. Let me get another picture of them leaving so we can see the tail lights. And there we go. So like I was talking about earlier, if you see that line right there, it's actually pretty cool that that car drove in while we were doing this, so you guys can now see exactly what I'm talking about. You have the car, there's the headlights, boom, and it like I said, you're basically putting time into an image. So this is 2 seconds of time, and we bumped the ISO up 1600. I think I'm going to use 1600. Looks usable. It looks good on the iPad, so 1600 is going to be a lot better because we're getting a lot more light, and we're exposing at a shorter time, which is what I want while I'm up in the air. So let me go back. So now that that's done, we got the drone out there. I'm gonna go outside and lift the drone off, and then we'll take a couple 2-second exposures. I'll be right back.
Adding mode.
Alright, so drone is now in an area where I can automatically take off. Our settings are already set, so we're good to go. Let's go ahead and take off.
The home point hit takeoff.
Alright, so we're good. Now I'm going to get some altitude. Alright. So first thing we're going to do is I'm up in the air. Let's take our 2 seconds. Okay, so there's our first result. Looks pretty cool. I'll go back and play that. Alright. A lot of red is still in there. I thought that us being off the ground it would go away. I guess not. And as you see, I'm still getting red even on this live view. Okay, let's take another one. I was actually still moving. That's a bad shot. See, all blurry. So this will actually give you a tip right now. When you're sitting in the air, what you want to do is, let me see, this red. If you're going to do long exposures, I shouldn't, see, I'm learning as I go. What I would do is get black electrical tape and cover up the red lights on the Phantom so we're not getting this off, because this is screwing up the whole shot right now. I think you can go into the settings and take off some of the lights, but it still keeps on. Some of them will still stay on. So, alright, another thing I just learned. We got something up there, I'm not sure, it could be a helicopter or something. So what I'm going to, first thing, or actually I think that's the moon, I just can't see. Let's put our focus point, just tap the screen. Okay, I guess I can't do my focus point in manual, so we're just going to take the exposure as is, I guess. So I just moved the Phantom. Let the Phantom sit right after you move it. So we move, let it sit because it just adjusted, and then wait a couple seconds, do your photo. Alright, looks cool. Let's go a little higher. There's 100 feet. Now I'm inside, so I don't know how my signal is going to be. Alright, so here we go. Now what I was talking about is the temperature of the lights. You see how we have yellow lights over here. We have our these are newer lights that they just put in, so they're going to be more of a cooler color compared to the older yellow temperatures. So let's take a picture. Kind of blurry. I don't know. It looks like since we're up a little higher, we're dealing with I think we're dealing with a little wind. So try it again. To get it. Now that's kind of usable. This red light is screwing up the whole image, but let's just use this for educational purpose, not actually a not actually anything that I would keep. Let's move over here. Bad image. We're still moving around even after. Let's see. Take another one. Bad image. I'm at 200 feet right now. I think I'm dealing with some wind up here. Let's see. Bad. Let me go down a little. Coming down from 200. Let's go to 100 feet. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, a lot better. So the higher you go, you might deal with different winds. The higher altitude you are, you're gonna get more wind. Let's get a picture. This is this Las Vegas Strip right here. It's so far away though, you can't really get anything out of it, but it'd be super bright. Nothing. Let's go into the settings and mess around now that we're up here. Let's try a 6-second exposure. Probably a bad idea. Lower the ISO so we get less noise. Okay. Just wait. Right now it's exposing for 6 seconds. Garbage. Moving way too much. With the exposures, I say put the ISO all the way up and let's try for 1 second. I think that's gonna be a better result. Wow, that's clean. All right, so that image was really clean. Oops, trying to move. All right, let's go over here. All right. Okay, so as you see, we're getting it now in post. Since we're shooting raw, this will look a lot better. The final edit would look a lot better. Boom. Nah, a lot better. Now let me switch the camera down. Let's take a picture. This should come out really nice. Perfect. Actually, that's an awesome picture right there, in terms of just quality, not composition. But look how clean that is. Really clean shot. You could see all the detail. You could see the street. There's cracks in the street. If you're doing aerial photography or you're doing any real estate stuff, if you do a long exposure on a house, if the house is actually lit really well, you can get a really awesome picture. Let's move around. Let's get the whole street. 1 second. So look perfect. Now, if you notice on 1 second, we're not getting the red light from the drone at all. So I guess 1 second's what you want to do. Unless if you want to go longer, get some black tape, get some duct tape, cover it up, or get some actually masking tape would be the best because it'd be easy to pull off. You won't damage the drone. Let's go back. So I think our sweet spot's going to be 1600, and we're going to be shooting at 1 second. Drone was still moving. Now look. Now as you see, it's taking a couple shots for me to pull off there's a okay shot. Takes a couple shots. Don't be afraid to do up 5, 6 shots while you're in the air. Like what I would do is fire a couple rounds off, because you're gonna look back and one of those shots is gonna be almost perfect, and you're gonna be happy you didn't just shoot the one, because when you're shooting on the iPad and you look at it, you're not seeing full resolution shots. Once you actually download them onto the computer, you're gonna see a totally different result. So always pop off a couple. like, or not even a couple, do 5 shots. If you're shooting something really important, you should be up there. You should have your hand on the shutter every 2 seconds. Just keep shooting them off. Bad picture. Let's try again. Okay. It's looking alright. I mean, so far, our best shot, since we got a lot of light down here and we're looking straight down, they're coming out real nice. Look at that. Now, if you were shooting, an event or something going on, like a festival, and you were right above it, you would get some awesome shots for sure. This would be almost. These shots are almost like you're standing on top of something. You're like, they're perfect. Let's go back and see how good that looks. So as you see, these shots are coming out really nice when I'm directly above. Almost looks like professional quality up here. Beautiful shots. Let's see. Now, if I was in this position right here, and let's say a car drove past, you'll see a lot of this on long exposures. Here's a tip. If you have a heavy traffic area where you have a lot of cars going, like the car that was right in front of us earlier, what you do is you would do your 3-second exposure, and you would see all the traffic lights. And when you have an image like this, and you have a bunch of red lines going across with the cars lit, it's one of the most beautiful photos you can take. And you'll see a lot of city shots are taken like that. You'll see a lot of highway shots. If you can prompt yourself up, I don't have any high traffic roads here. That's what I would be shooting. I do have one up here, but since I'm inside my house, like you see these right over here, let's see what happens if I can get something. You can't really see. I'll mess around and I'll try to get a longer exposure. Go to 2 seconds. Here's a car right here coming along. Well, I'm too far away to get a usable result. You can kind of see lines in there, but I would have to be directly over that road right there to get a nice shot. Let's go back. I think 1 second is honestly the best. Now you can go 1.3, 1.6. We'll try 1.3. The more time you have during the shot, obviously the better, but we go to 1.3 and we start pulling the red light again. So unless you put masking tape on there, which I recommend, I wish I would have done that. But 1 second is giving us good results right now. Look at that. Really nice shots. If we did do like a 4 second or 5 second shot, and you have the moon out, the whole sky would kind of light up. Now, if you shoot right before sunrise, this whole area of the sky would be like a nice red. And the best time to shoot for shots like that is definitely the morning or sunset. The morning gives you a lot better result because there's not a lot of smog in the air. Everything's really clean and calm. There's no wind. If you shoot during sunset, you'll have a different result. But try on both and see how, and see, your results may vary. Try another. See how we're still moving up here. You're always going to be moving. That's why I'm shooting the 1 second. I thought I was going to be shooting, 4 seconds. Oh, we got a little red light on even on 1 second. Let me see what happens if I move, because I can even see the red light on the iPad. I think what happens is since I'm shooting over here, I'm not pulling it in at all. Let me go down. Yeah, see, it's darker. We're not really exposing. We're not doing our long exposure. And so that's basically it. Now, these shots that I got, throw them into post and adjust exposure. Change the exposure, add a little sharpening, adjust shadows and highlights, and I'll post some results of these shots below so you guys can see the final result of what's possible. But I think those shots came out the best for sure. Anything on the horizon was a lot harder to shoot, but those shots came out awesome. You have really nice detail. You even see the shadows from the street light. It's just we were in photography. You would never be able to shoot anything like this. Just because you're not shooting, you can't shoot in the air. You can only have a ground perspective. But having an aerial perspective brings a whole new brings a whole new aspect to drone photography, which I think is amazing. And my drone's about to run out of some battery here, so let me get it on the ground. And like I said, check the links below. I'll post them up on Flickr or whatever, so you guys can see what's going on. And thanks for watching the video. If you like it, subscribe. I'll be bringing some new stuff on here. And my drone's calling. It wants to land. All right, bye.